Have you been watching The Traitors on television? If you have, who do you think's going to win? Who do you think's going to lose? In this episode, I want to talk about the psychology around the game. So let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Write Your Own Story. My name is James Taylor. I'm an online counsellor, hypnotherapist and life coach. I'm also an author, a podcaster and a YouTuber. Now, if you've been watching The Traitors on television, it's coming towards the end. And I just want to explain for the people who haven't seen it what the concept of the game is. And if you haven't seen it, you really should. It's good fun. A gang of people who don't know each other are sent to a remote castle in Scotland, and they all sit at a round table. Now, they're all blindfolded, and the host, Claudia Winkleman, she walks around the outside of the table. No one can see her, and if she taps them on the shoulder, that means that that person is a traitor. Okay? The others become known as the faithfuls. So you have the traitors on one hand, and there's three of them, and you have the faithfuls on the other, which is the larger group, but no one knows who is who except the traitors. Now, the traitors' sole purpose is to slowly kill off members of the faithfuls, and there's a few ways of doing that, of them being removed from the game, but that's the traitors' sole purpose. Each night they meet in a secret room in the castle and they decide who is going to be murdered from the faithfuls. Now, there's another way that faithfuls or traitors can be removed from the game. Now, each evening the whole group sit around this round table and they can banish someone from the game who they collectively think is a traitor. And this is the idea of the game. The faithfuls want to get to the end completely because you win prizes, you win money along the way. And if they get to the end of the game and there's no traitors left in the game, the faithfuls take all the money. Okay? But if there's even one traitor left at the end, the traitor takes everything. All right, so it's quite a good psychological game. So that's, for those who haven't seen it, that's the basic concept. Now, I'm also going to reveal at the end who I think is going to win and why. But let's look at the psychology around this. The faithfuls. There's two ways that they can be removed from the game. They can either be banished at the round table, or they can be killed off by the traitors who make this vote overnight. So they're up against it from the start because there's two ways that they can be removed. Where the traitors, then they can't kill themselves off because you can't kill another traitor. But what you can do, you can be banished at the round table. Now, the role of the traitor, very, very subtle one, and some better than others. And a few traitors have already been discovered and kicked out of the game. When that happens, the three traitors, when one's killed and they're down to two, they have a choice. They can either recruit one of the other faithfuls, or they can just kill as normal. All right, and this is to keep the game going. Now, the psychology of the traitor is a very double-edged sword. They've got to almost be the not too brash, not too confident, not too outspoken. They also have got to be fairly influential in the group, and some actually play the insignificant role to keep themselves under the radar so no one else can think that they're relevant or important enough or doing any behavioural qualities that a traitor might do. Because one of the things that the traitor might do throughout the day before the round table in the evening, they can start planting little seeds of doubt against other people. You know, so-and-so said this to me before and I thought that was quite strange, and they've been acting a bit weird all day, and they're trying to encourage another faithful to say, actually, I've noticed that as well. So they plant these little seeds of doubt all over the place, and like if you ever cast seeds, some will take and some will not, but they've got to do it in such a way that it doesn't draw attention to themselves. And around the round table, sometimes you'll have a traitor turning on another traitor to protect themselves. But there's also another psychological twist going on that none of the members of the game know about. There's one guy who's just been recruited as a traitor. The traitor numbers drop down to 2, So instead of killing, they recruited a faithful into their group, all right, to bring the numbers back up to 3. What no one in the group knows is that the guy who they've just recruited, another one of the members who was killed by the traitors, was actually his mother. All right, so a real twist, and that member's ultra keen to get revenge. Now, there's a storm just outside my window, so I'm not adding any dramatic effect noises to this video. I don't know whether it will come through or not. Hopefully not. So, we're getting down to the small numbers now. Now, the psychology of the traitor, they've got to wear 2 masks. They've got to be friendly and encourage other members of the group to partake in their ideas. They've got to be liked. And there's a few different personalities in there of people who are faithful, but the personalities are clashing with other members. Now, you might have come across this yourself. You might meet someone and you just don't like them. And they haven't done anything wrong. They haven't done anything to upset you, but there's something about them that just isn't sitting right with you. Well, this, of course, is going on in this game. So this betrayal, this smiley face on one side, betraying on the other. But also another thing that's cropping up for the traitors from the psychological point of view is the betrayal. Because as the game goes on, they're getting closer and closer to the other members of the game. And then they've got to almost stab this person in the back and smile and be upset at the round table when this is going on, or in the breakfast room the next day when it's discovered. And they've got to really, and the emotion is coming out. So they've got to try and release the emotion, but show it in such a way as if they were a faithful, as opposed to it was a traitor's behaviour. Now, one of the guys in one of the traitors is a guy called Harry, and there was and he's ex-military, and he was an ex-military guy who was one of the faithfuls, and Harry was detrimental in the traitors killing off his mate who was a faithful, and he took it really hard, because he said, military background, like brothers in arms, he was the kind of person who would help anyone, and he really struggled with it. But when he got upset, when this came out, this was banishment of the round table, when Harry got upset at his army buddy being banished, he took it really bad. Now, we knew he had to get rid of him at some point anyway, because for the traitors to win, there can't be any faithfuls left, you see. So he knew he had to get rid of him at some point, but it was just when. So he decided to act sooner rather than later and get involved in the banishment of the round table. So just a few I could spend a long time talking about the psychology of this, but just a few thoughts on how difficult it is, not only for the faithfuls to try and identify the traitors, but also for the traitors to lead this double life, and also the pressure that's on themselves by being a traitor. Food for thought. So, as promised, I did say at the beginning I would reveal who I think is going to win. Now, I'm not too sure whether the traitors collectively are going to win, or whether the faithfuls are going to be voting off some of the traitors, and it's going to get closer and closer to the end. But what I do think is going to happen is there's a guy in there called Harry, the one who was the ex-military. He's playing a very clever game with the being a traitor, because he's one of the younger members of the group. He's well liked by everybody. He's revealing some things to certain members, and he's casting some seeds around to divert the attention from himself. But at the same time, as in his traitor role, he's got to be very callous and very cunning and very organised with his planning. All right. So I don't know whether I'll be right on this, but I'm just going to put it out there now. I think Harry is going to be one of the ones to win it. But who do you think is going to win? If you have an idea, put it in the comments below. So a bit of a strange episode for Write Your Own Story, but I hope you've enjoyed this one. It is quite topical, the traitors, and I'm enjoying seeing who gets to the end to see whether my prediction is right or wrong. So I'll see you on the next episode. This is James from Write Your Own Story. Bye bye.